a lot of us creators, we feel like, oh well, they're shooting with that. They have a podcast with an iPhone. I'm better than them because I'm using a camera, a real camera. Well, as long as somebody is somewhere doing something that they really enjoy, it doesn't matter what camera they're using, it doesn't matter what microphone they're using. As long as they're putting the work, sharing their thoughts and ideas, that's all that matters. But a lot of us creators are just fake leaders, as you said, in the sense of they're not trying to be helpful. They're very closed-minded, and it's not it's really bad for the culture.
Have you enjoyed listening to the IncrediPaul podcast? Are you looking for a way to support it? Or maybe you just want some swag? Check out the IncrediPaul store today. We have shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts, hats, stickers, and so much more. Go to IncrediPaul.org, IncrediPaul.org, and click on the store link. Or go to the link in my socials bio and click on the IncrediPaul shop. Looking forward to seeing your IncrediPaul look.
Turn this up.
Your professional development is one of the keys to your career success. When you combine your desire to grow with actionable steps, your journey to success becomes an incredible reality.
Hi, I'm Paul Ferranbi, and welcome to IncrediPaul Leadership, where we learn how to become the most incredible versions of ourselves by learning from each other. Today, I have the honor of having Guillaume Dormeus on the show. He is a photographer, podcaster, and podcast producer located in South Florida, and he helps creators learn how to create. So I briefly introduced you, Gil, but how about you introduce yourself the way you would do it?
I mean, I'll say just that. I'm Guillaume Dormeus. I'm a content creator, and I help other content creators learn how to create. And I'm a student to the craft, so I'm consistently learning. And the things that I learn, I love sharing it with other people.
That's really incredible. So based on all that, I'm curious, how long have you been a content creator?
I think I've always been creating. I don't think it was called content creating back in the day. It was just the weird kid in the corner that just draws or like has comic books. I've been creating my whole entire life, writing, painting. I have a few art pieces in art museums as a kid in high school and middle school. So content creating, I've always been doing it. It's just that now there's a label to it. And for some reason, people have put some ceilings on top of it in regards to, only Instagram, only YouTube. But there's more to content creating because content is everywhere. So I've been creating my whole life.
I like how you mentioned that you've always been a content creator, but now with social media, it's kind of taken on a new meaning. Like you're right. Content has been around forever, but now you're really only considered a content creator if you create on Instagram or YouTube. I know you mentioned that you're also into photography. Tell me more about that journey with photography, how you got started with all that.
So with photography, I would say that was like the entry point to give me permission to start, creating on a more professional level. I've done logo design, I've done shirts and banners for companies, for schools. But when I got a camera in 2016, it kind of just said, the things and thoughts and ideas you have in your head, here's the permission and access to create for the world. And I started doing short films and then photography kind of stuck because that was one of the easiest ways for me to network. To be honest, like all these cameras, these microphones, they don't mean anything to me. It's just an easy way for me to connect with creators like you, Paul, and as other creators or people that are listening. Like this is just a medium for me to connect with you. Like I don't really, I love, technology and cameras and all that stuff, but doing photography was the best way for me to meet models, makeup artists, set design artists, like people who are in the space. And photography, I did that for a number of years. Then I got into film, doing content, reels for people. But photography is like that first thing that kind of like propelled me to network with other creators.
That's awesome that photography has caused you to connect. It sounds like you're really passionate about the connection, even more than the work specifically. I don't know if everyone is like that, but I'm curious, who are the people you usually connect with? Is it more so the more senior people that have been doing it for a while, or more people that are new to the podcast game, like who do you usually work with?
All right. So you're basically the people that I connect to mostly. I'd say I connect to with everyone. With photography, there are people who are at the beginning, like in their stage of their content creator journey. And I love to teach those people. I love sharing thoughts and ideas. Then there are the people at the top, people that I want to be. Those people are great because they have knowledge and experience that I want to pretty much gain and have access to. And I'm the person in the middle where it's like, I'm not in the beginning stages. I'm not at the master level, but I'm in the beginning. I love bringing everybody together. So I've recently have been doing workshops where I teach people, how to create podcasts, do photography. And the people who come to these workshops are a lot of entry level people, but majority of the people that are there are people who are like masters of their craft, who just are looking to actually just come and like learn. Like even with the podcast summit that we went to, there are so many different podcasters like you, so many different podcast producers, people who have their own studio spaces. They're just looking to find other like-minded individuals. And a lot of people fail to realize that all you have to do is just do the thing, go out, share a network. So that's the people I connect with everyone. If you're a creative person, no matter if you're, finances, like you're just doing it for the money, you still have this creative bone in you to just create. Or if you're just a freelance creator who's just creating for the hell of it, I love connecting with those people. So I connect with everyone.
Oh, that's really good. So I know you've mentioned that you've done content creation pretty much forever. You've done photography. You're a podcaster as well, podcast producer. Talk about like that transition. Because were you a podcaster first and then became a podcast producer in addition, or was it like what was the progression like? Because I know it. I'm not in the podcast producer space, so I don't really know what that looks like as opposed to just being a podcaster.
Well, my background, I don't know. I just always thought that for some reason you have to understand the beast in order to play with it or to tame it, and that's the route that I took in photography. That's the route that I took in filmmaking, and in podcasting. I physically reached out to DJs, party promoters, rap artists, and musicians, and asked them how to use a mixer. And a majority of them didn't know. And I just kept trying because I'm thinking, well, if I need to do a podcast and connect a microphone to the computer or just play with audio in general, I have to sit down with a DJ. So I spoke to certain DJs, I spoke to engineers, sound engineers, and they told me some stuff that I could just have Googled, but I would rather have sat down with someone. Then I found a podcast called The Podcast Method with Dan Benjamin, and he basically spoke about the ins and outs, the technical, the hardware, and I had a general idea, but I figured I have to understand the tools. This is back in 2013, 2014. So I have to understand how everything else works. Then I could start a podcast. Then I started a podcast. Then I started doing it with friends. And then we kind of got to the point where we are now, like anybody can have a podcast. But with my friends, I'm like, telling them, hey, we have to learn audio levels. We have to learn this. And like, let's just record. I'm like, oh, I want me personally, I have to learn the beast, understand it. And once I understood it for myself, then I was able to leverage that knowledge. And I have a home office here, and I was able to film people in here and produce podcasts.
Wow.
So that's how it's been like my mentality. Let me learn to understand this thing, have a full grasp understanding of it, like teaching it to other people, doing consultations, and then I'll be able to rent out my space or rent out my knowledge by charging people, hey, it's $100 an hour for me to produce a podcast. Hey, I have all these equipment. You can use it to produce a podcast. So that's just me. That's how I think. I know some people are like, dude, just record. Yeah, I know, but I really want to understand how this works. Like, I can't tell you, like, the main question I get for podcast production is like, hey, how do I get the audio and the videos to sync? And there's like a myriad of ways, but I love sitting down with someone, and I first have to understand, where are you at in your content creator journey? Where are you at with your equipment? Because I can tell you to do this, but it really depends. So again, I guess it's my personality type. I have to understand how this works.
Yeah. Are you wondering what's next? Has everything you tried failed? Or maybe you just feel stuck? Then coaching might be right for you. The coaching relationship is a relationship totally centered on you. If you're tired of running on the hamster wheel of life and want to start to see results, reach out to IncrediPaul for help. So what are you waiting for? Go to IncrediPaul.org/coaching, IncrediPaul.org/coaching, or at I am IncrediPaul on all my socials. Or you can click the link in the bio for your free coaching session. I want to make sure you become the most incredible version of yourself. No, I totally get that. Because I'm of a similar type with specific things that I can get really into the details of things. And I would say maybe it's just because I'm new to the podcast space, or say newer, that I haven't got into the details of it yet. I'm leveraging some of the tools that may or may not be the best. I'm learning along the way.
I feel totally like learning counts. Well, like if a baby doesn't learn how to walk without falling, you have to fall and then keep getting up, and then be willing to get up over and fall over, get up, and just, keep moving.
Yeah, it's so true, because I feel like a lot of times people feel like they're failing or they're not doing stuff right. But that's why I've been intentional about reframing that to know I'm not failing, I'm learning. Because the only way I really fail is if I stop trying, and I'm not going to stop trying. I'll do something different. Like even this whole journey right now, I was doing stuff on Zoom for a while. Now I'm trying Riverside. I've been doing that for the last few episodes because I wanted better quality, because Zoom just compressed everything. And I'm sure, like, maybe we could talk. Maybe we get into a little bit of the details of podcasting, as far as picture someone that has never podcasted before. They have an idea, or before I even ask you that question, who are the people you usually work with for producing a podcast? Is it people that have done it before, or
people who have no idea what a podcast is? People who have like no clue, people who don't, and those are the worst, because the thing is, they just think that they could just talk and then that's a podcast. They have no microphone etiquette. That's just the area that I'm in. But I've also worked with people who understand, who have camera etiquette, or just practice in general, like working in front of a camera, who have experience on radio. I've worked with some of them too, but majority of my client base are people who are just starting out, that just want to, hey, let me just try it. And I love it, because I want to give people the opportunity to express their thoughts and ideas. But I also hate it because these people don't do their due diligence to learn and understand what this is. And to them, podcasting is literally, talking crap, spewing garbage, saying whatever comes out, hot take after hot take, trying to, be the main person talking, or be very influential. And that's not really the point. But I get it, because they see people doing it, so they want to emulate it, which sucks.
Yeah, they see those 30-second or 1-minute clip out of an hour and a half, 2-hour episode. I think that's just the whole thing.
Yeah.
But let's talk more, because I know a lot of the people that listen to my podcast, they don't know anything about podcasts, and I'm still trying to build my audience and stuff. So let's talk more about the microphone etiquette or the video etiquette, because I think I know what you're saying, but I honestly wasn't really formally trained. So I think it's just some stuff I've picked up. So I'm curious to see what does microphone etiquette look like?
So microphone etiquette is, even though I don't have headphones, or it doesn't seem like I have headphones, I have headphones on, and I'm monitoring my audio, and I'm also monitoring your audio. And microphone etiquette would mean me staying further away from the microphone. And, I want to get comfortable because it's all about me and my comfort and not the level of connection of the conversation. Like the people are more engaged when the microphone is closer to my mouth and also like not far away from the microphone. Like it's just training. So this is microphone etiquette, understanding the levels, understanding how you're talking and enunciating your words and not, not mumbling. So it's, and also microphone etiquette also comes into play because it's not just a solo venture. Sometimes you have a podcast with a host or a guest is hearing their audio and when they're talking, shutting up and listening. So once I hear you say something, let me just, all right, quiet. Great. You say your point. Let me continue. So that's microphone etiquette.
Okay. So that's good. So that the monitoring of the audio levels, that's something I kind of look at it out of the corner of my eye, but right now I don't have an earpiece in. So that's probably the next level for me as far as listening to see how the audio is coming through. So I'm learning along with the listeners as far as what that means to get to the next level. I love that. That's good. Good. And so what you also just said, like the video etiquette. So what does that mean?
So like right now, believe it or not, I have two monitors here, but I'm looking at the lens. I'm not looking at you're down here and then you're over here and I could see myself. So every once in a while where it looks like I'm literally drinking, I'm monitoring my video when I'm sipping my water, not coffee, but monitoring the video, making sure that I'm in focus, making sure that you're still there and then you don't have like a black screen. And I'm monitoring the visual aspect, making sure that it's good, that it's well lit, because I could easily, accidentally turn off the light here and it's like, oh, the video looks it's not good. Yeah. So, yeah, it's all about microphone etiquette. One, yeah. And I feel like it's all about making sure that the guest or the people can enjoy the show without like sacrificing their time because they're here for a reason. So make sure that it looks good and make sure that it sounds good because they could be somewhere else enjoying some TikTok dance video, but they're here listening. Yeah.
So that's so true. I love that. Everything that you're describing with the microphone etiquette and the video etiquette, and even like what you just showed with turn off your light. So I'll put a quick plug for people who are listening that they should be watching on YouTube. That if you're watching on YouTube, it's a lot better experience. Like you just showed a couple of things. Just go to IncrediPaul on YouTube. But I think there's a lot of similarities to leadership that I talk to people about, like especially with servant leadership, because you really are showing servant leadership as far as you're the guest, you're the star of the show. I'm just hosting, but at the same time, you are thinking about how I am being perceived, how the show is being perceived, how the audience is, making sure that they're getting a good experience. And that's a huge key as a leader as well, is that leaders are not there for themselves. They're there to make sure that the people and the organization is going in the right direction. And oftentimes the downfall of leadership is when they make it all about themselves.
100% agree. I get that. I see that a lot in the content creator space because there's a lot of knowledge up here, and there's a lot of people who have the notion that they should be perceived, better because they're better than other people, and the knowledge that they have to leverage it, which is great. It takes time to sit down and watch a YouTube video and decide to watch that over the Real Housewives of Detroit or something like that. It's like we all have the same 24 hours. So me and another person might have made the choice to better ourselves, learn this craft. But that doesn't mean that I'm better than you, Paul. That doesn't mean that I'm better than you, Susan, who are watching, maybe. It's like we all start somewhere and we all get somewhere, but it's not about the destination. It's like we're somewhere. We're somewhere doing something, and as long as we're happy, we're fine. But a lot of us creators, we feel like, oh well, they're shooting with that. They have a podcast with an iPhone. I'm better than them because I'm using a camera, a real camera. Well, as long as somebody is somewhere doing something that they really enjoy, it doesn't matter what camera they're using. It doesn't matter what microphone they're using. As long as they're putting the work, sharing their thoughts and ideas, that's all that matters. But a lot of us creators are just fake leaders, as you said, in the sense of they're not trying to be helpful. They're very closed-minded, and it's it's really bad for the culture.
Yeah, it's definitely bad for the culture. And then there's not a lot of growth either, because there's a lot of perspective that comes even from someone who hasn't been doing it as long, because they might be looking at stuff a different way. But at the same time, I think the people who are coming in, they need to, and I'm talking to myself, is to look at what other people are doing, to learn from it, but not necessarily to copy and paste it, but try and create it and make it your own. Because I think having your own style and the way you do things, because I think we can think of people that they follow these different trends, but they don't have like their own like voice or the way they do things. They're just like copying everyone else.
Yeah. I just had a conversation with someone just now. So I have a newsletter and I talk about things that are on my mind for the week. And then I also have like different segments. And I've followed some newsletters before. I've subscribed to plenty, and they're pretty fun. You know, it's pretty cool to learn cool things. But I sat down and said, I'm going to start a newsletter. I want it to be like a newspaper, like different sections, different areas. I just got off the phone with someone, and she was like, I really love how you have a different approach to your newsletter. Like, it makes me want to continue to read. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, you just have your own personality. I feel you as I'm reading. I could hear you reading this. So because I wrote it. She's like, yeah, but just the way that you organize your newsletter, the way you set up your YouTube, where you set up your podcast, it's unique. And the thing is, you can only set yourself apart once you know who you are. So I know what type of person that I am, what type of creator that I am. So I'm able to create authentically without looking at other creators and what they're doing. It's fine. You can look, but it's when you copy and paste, which is also fine. You know what I'm saying? You can copy and paste, but when you are being your authentic self, it's so easy. Like I love writing my newsletter every week. It's just effortless. Awesome. Yeah.
No, that's so good. Your newsletter is really good too. Because I remember, because we connected at the podcast summit, you talked about it early, and then through Instagram, I got the thing for your newsletter, and I saw that your recap of the podcast, some of the stuff that you're learning, and that you're just excited to connect with people, and that even I think there's a section on there that you talk about. Maybe it wasn't a newsletter, maybe it was on your page, like different tools you use as well, like for people who are either newer to this space or just want to know different stuff that they can pick up to better their podcast. But I think it's amazing that you do that, because I haven't seen really anyone that has a podcast that also has a newsletter to the caliber that you have, which I think is remarkable.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I have a toolkit for like everything. I do consultations. Sometimes I sit down with people for like an hour, 2 hours, and I help them understand what tools they need to start a podcast. And one question I get after the consultation is, hey, send me the Amazon link, or send me the Best Buy link. And it's just coming up with a list of all that. It's exhausting. It takes time. So I've created a list, and I could just copy and paste it. And it's like I have different tiers. Hey, maybe Susan might be an intermediate level content creator, and Paul might be an advanced. I can send Paul the advanced one, Susan the intermediate one, and then like Robert can have like the ultra beginner link, where it has just beginner, budget friendly list of equipment. But the thing is, I'm in the trenches. I'm in the streets listening to beginner content creators and hearing that, hey, these things are expensive. I don't really have the time to learn how to do this, or I can afford it. I don't have the time, or I don't know how any of this works. So there's like a toolkit for like any and everybody.
Yeah, that's really, I like that a lot. That it's really easy to just be like, this is what I use, just stick with it. But the fact that you took the time to break it down to the different levels, even though I know you said you primarily work with people who are newer to the podcast, it could have been really easy to just only do that. But the fact that you have different tiers, that's a perfect example of leadership, because people, when I work with people, they feel like leadership is the same across the board, but it's not. You have to meet people where they are, and that's exactly what you're doing. So kudos to you for that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's good. So I know we talked about the podcast producer. You said you've been doing podcasting since 2013. So you are an OG in the podcast game.
Oh, yeah.
I would say you're an OG. So what are some things you've like noticed over the years that you either maybe like or dislike about like the podcast trends over the years?
I really love podcasts. And I guess the thing that I've seen over the years that I really love is the continuation of having people come on your show. Like, hey, so-and-so's a podcaster. Let's collaborate, merge our audiences. I love that because to me, that's really what it's all about. Community, like building and fostering a community of people. It's really dope. I love when people actually care and they're having real conversations. What I don't like is the sensationalization right now. Is that even a word? How people sensationalize podcasts and have like these quick 10-second bites where it's like, Paul, I hate you. Oh my gosh, Gil hates Paul. It's like, wait, what? It's like, Gil says that he hates Sony cameras, and it's like a bite comment about something really quick that could be spun, and then it becomes this ultra think piece on all these blogs and magazines. And
I see what you're saying.
I really love podcasts, and I miss how it used to be like a bastion in like a old town record hidden gem. Like if you know, you know. There's a few podcasts I listen to where they have recently made the blogs, and it's like, man, it's like if you've been listening to them for 15, 13 years like I have, you understand the tonality of this person, where it's like, this person's joking, or this is just an inside joke in the show. But then it's like, the world doesn't know that. The world can't capsulize 13 years of getting to know someone. And you can't. And with podcasts, I love recording them because while my listeners are spending time listening to me, they're getting to know me. They're getting to know my personality. And right now, the world is so huge and so many things are going on. Most people don't have time for that. So if you say something that resonates with them, they love it. If you say something that doesn't, they want to like destroy you. And that's one thing I hate.
Cancel culture.
The cancel culture. I didn't want to say it. You said it, not me. Everybody heard it.
I'll say it. I'll say it. But it's. I cut you off, but you can keep going. We can come back to that.
No. I mean, yeah, you said it. It's just that, and it doesn't allow growth or true expression. And I feel like we don't allow people to make mistakes. Like you said it earlier, how you're podcasting, you stumble, you fail, and then you don't really continue. Like, how can we really grow in an era where if you make a mistake, it's the end of the world? So then it's like, why even bother trying? Why even spread your wings when as soon as you ascend to fly, somebody clips them and say, hey, this is a no-fly zone. You got to fly over there.
Like, what are you doing?
You go, exactly. Yeah. So it's like, you're not allowed to express yourself here. You can express yourself here at these time hours and here. And you have to get a license to fly. And then
the license is key. It's like, without a license, don't even open the door.
Yeah, exactly. It's tough.
Yeah, I can resonate with that. I'm newer to listening to podcasts. I think the first time I listened to podcasts maybe was like 5 or 6 years ago. And then like this podcast is pretty new. I started it beginning of 2022, but really been more focused on it this year. But I definitely agree with what you're saying with the cancel culture really in everything, but I think because podcasting is so intertwined with social media, I think it's a little bit worse because, like you said,
But it
these
really
clips,
wasn't. Back in the day, right now it is. But back in the
yeah,
day,
right
I
now,
would listen to an entire episode and have a group of friends on Reddit or Twitter or like work
Mhm.
friends who listen to the podcast, and we could have a conversation that is like in the group and we
Mhm.
understand the nature of the
Mhm.
conversation. But
Mhm.
now it's like with social media, like you said, we open that up to the world, and it's like,
Yeah,
well, this guy's a comedian, or
yeah,
this person is not a comedian, but they're in a room with comedians. So
yeah,
as a human nature, you want to fit in. So you
yeah,
start joking, and then you say a
yeah,
joke, and then it's funny in the room. But then on the internet, it's like, how dare this person who's a
yeah.
business owner make a joke? And it's like, I'm in a room with comedians.
It's a
It's a
yeah,
joke. It's
and then
really
there's no
hard.
context either.
Yeah, there's no context. Oh man, like there's so many different podcasts I listen to where it's like there's a lot of inside jokes. There's
Mhm.
even a lot of tech anime. I'm really big into anime, so someone will
Mm.
say a phrase from an anime from like maybe like 20 years ago, and it's
Uh-huh.
like maybe 1,000 people know what that means, and
Yeah.
it's like that's how I tell my wife all the time. The world is so big. That's what
Mhm.
makes it beautiful. We can't all like the same things,
Oh
and
no.
yeah, we all can't. And with podcasting, unfortunately, it's gotten big, which is great. I'm super excited for it. Like we
Mhm.
have so many people winning Webbies, which is like a podcast award for like
Mm.
drama and like entertainment, which is
Oh.
fantastic.
Oh wow.
But at the same time, it's like, wow, we're now opening the world to this, and it's like, I don't know if
Mm.
we're ready yet. Because
Yeah.
anybody can go down to like, you can have a podcast with 2,042 episodes, and someone goes all the way back to your 50th episode, and you said
Mm.
something, and it's like, how dare this guy say this? Well, I mean, I was like 25 years ago.
Yeah.
But one thing I do love and appreciate about the cancel culture is that it does give us the awareness to be accountable for the things that we do and say.
Mhm.
So we can't just say anything now. We just
Yeah.
don't just go out and say anything, Paul. We have to be
Yeah.
accountable. We have to be good leaders here. So if you're
Yeah.
going to be spreading information about what is the best microphone, at least have the responsibility to understand, hey, there's going to be a listener that is listening here. Don't tell them to buy a cactus microphone. You tell them to buy a real mic. You have to be
Yeah.
honest and transparent.
Yeah. No, that's good. At least I'm glad you mentioned the good part, cancel culture, because honestly, before you said that, I couldn't think about it.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about the good side, but the accountability piece is huge. It's good to be accountable, just to make sure, like when you're recommending things, when you're trying to do things, that like you're held accountable for what you're saying. But
Yeah.
I think,
Like in my newsletter, I have a part where I talk about, hey guys, here's the latest AI tools that I like to use. And I like to make sure that the tools that I'm talking about, I've actually subscribed to them. I've actually
Mhm.
used them. Like
Mhm.
Riverside gets a check for me because I've actually directed and produced several podcasts using that platform for
Mhm.
clients who are like in the Philippines or people like out of state or stuff
Oh
like
wow.
that. And it works great. And before I even sign on to anything and say, hey, check this out, client, check this out, friend, I
Mhm.
want to make sure that it's good. There are a lot of services and hardware that I would never get my seal of approval on, because I want to make sure when I sit down and do a consultation with you, sit down and do a consultation with someone, and I
Mhm.
tell them, hey, buy this thing. Well, Gil told me to buy it. Now it doesn't work. What the hell, Gil? Like
Mm.
that sucks. And
Mm.
right now, with the state of content creation, comes the emerging of affiliate marketing. And
Yeah.
affiliate marketing, you can monetize quite literally any and everything. Hey
Mhm.
guys, go check out this blue mug. Click the link in the description for this blue mug. Check it out. And I get a
Yeah.
commission for this blue mug. But then
Yeah.
I forgot to tell you that this mug has lead in it. Well, I didn't know because I don't drink from this mug. I'm actually using
Okay.
a straw piece. And then everybody who
Yeah.
buys this mug gets lead poisoning.
Mm.
That's where accountability comes into place, where you have, before you say anything, you share anything, make sure that you completely understand and stand by it, and don't just, share that information willy-nilly,
Yeah, no, that's really good, because people will do anything for a paycheck or to make money. And so that accountability piece is huge, to make sure what you're saying and what you're doing matches up completely. That integrity part of it, which is also a big part of leadership.
Yeah.
Your actions and what you're saying match up. That's really good. So we're almost out of time, but I want to make sure. Yeah, I know it flew by, but I want to make sure. We've been talking a lot about the podcast space, what you've been doing with photography. Well, actually, we really talk mostly about the podcast space. If you can talk more about your photography, what you've been doing there, if you have any things coming up that you're excited about, or like past stuff you've done.
So with photography, that's still like the baby, it's still the thing that I really enjoy. Like I still, have multiple cameras. I still take pictures. I've been doing a podcast workshop where I sit down with people and teach them how to direct and produce a podcast. What I'm working on right now in these winter months of Florida is actually doing a city walk where I walk around the neighborhood with, photography enthusiasts or people who are looking to learn about photography. And I just want to walk the streets and just take pictures. I have a couple of people who signed up. We're just going to just walk around town and we just take street photography. I show them how to model a person, take pictures like that. It's just really hot right now. Like I had this idea back in May and it's just been blistering. Like you came down to Florida. We can't walk around right now. So in the winter months, when everything is cooled down, I'm doing a walking around street photography in our downtown area of South Florida.
That's good. That's really exciting to do. Have you done something like that before?
I have, actually. It wasn't as it was like for me. I always do like a beta test. I learned this from this guy named Ty Turner. He has a podcast called was it Content and Cash? Ty Turner. Yeah, Content and Cash. And he has this method called beta testing. Like before you have this grandiose idea, before you waste clients' time, clients' money, find a service or business. Not a friend. You can do a friend, but it's better to find a service or business and contact them and extend the service to. So that way you can see where all the holes are, because your idea is always going to fail at first. So I did this beta test with a couple people and it worked out great. Before I had my workshop, I'd done several beta testing workshops that, they were pretty good, So with this, I always test it out and I've done it numerous times. So now I have a gist of where to shoot, what's a good neighborhood, what's a good time, because I don't want it to get too dark and, people are lost. So I have a route, and the route is like numerous coffee shops that I'm partnered with, numerous stores that I'm partnered with. So that way we could stop for a little break, advertise, get some marketing done for some local businesses, local coffee shops that I go to, and it could just be a good old time.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I'm just like a marketing genius. All I think about is how can I create content all day with people?
Yeah. I need to talk to you more about that stuff, because marketing is probably, I wouldn't even say it's my least strength. I think it's one of my weakness, my top weaknesses is marketing.
It's my weakness too, but the thing is that I realize is that we're the marketing. Like when people see us doing the thing, that's when they want to get involved. Like it's not going to work with you not putting your voice or your photo or your video out there. You have to be enthusiastic about the things that you're doing and actually do it. And then when people see you, they don't question the next thing that you do. Well, Paul's going to the moon because he's been like on this podcast, Crazy on Earth. He's going to take that power and excitement to the moon. So it's like, well, make it make sense. Your next move, there has to be a story. People have to follow you and hey, you're here. Well, it's going to go there. And now he's to the moon. Of course. Makes sense.
No, I like that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, is there anything else as far as you? Because I feel like we've talked a lot about like what you do, but like anything else like as far as you as a person that you want to share, or you want the audience to know?
I love my wife. My wife is amazing. Like, she literally was one of the first people who like believed in me and allowed me to create authentically without holding me back. And it was, hey, I have this idea. She's like, go for it. Hey, we have a house and we have a bedroom. I want to create it into a studio. Go for it. There's never been a no. And I mean, there's been no's, but it's more so like, you can't just do whatever you want, dude. We have to like sit down and talk. So that she has been really instrumental in my growth, never holding me back, never having a spirit of jealousy, because it's really hard out here. Like, people really get jealous, but my wife has always been a great partner, and she continues to be my inspiration. Yeah.
Awesome. No, I love that. To have that someone to come alongside you and to spur you on and to keep you motivated. Like you said, jealousy is prevalent. There's a lot of distractions that happen, but to have someone like that. So like my wife is the same way. She's always encouraging me to continue going. And a lot of times I'm like, I don't know if I should do this. I'm like, you better do this. People need you to do this. I'm like, all right. Thanks for that motivation. That's powerful. Love that. But I want to make sure people know how to find you, whether your socials, websites, your affiliates. I know you have like all this stuff. Share all this stuff. People can connect with you.
Okay. You could find me on Instagram at GUIL.DORMEUS. That's Gil Dormeus. I'm also on YouTube, dropping lots of information, inspiration. It's the same. So it's Gil Dormeus on YouTube. So youtube.com/GUILDORMEUS. Check out my newsletter. I drop a newsletter every Monday. I talk about AI news, tech news, just things that are inspiring me for that week. And that is at gildormeus.com/newsletter. So yeah, check me out.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Gil, for being on the podcast. I know you have a ton of stuff you're doing, impacting so many people's lives and content creation. You're passionate in photography. I like how you got into the details of podcasting as far as the etiquette of it as well. Some of the tools you use, what you've learned. We talked a little bit about leadership. I really enjoyed our conversation. I hope everyone listening, you enjoyed this conversation, learned a little bit more about podcasting. Definitely encourage you to reach out to Gil. Subscribe to his newsletter. There's a lot of awesome stuff that he shares, the nuggets of wisdom you're going to get. So definitely connect with him. And hopefully from that, you can continue to be incredible. Thanks for listening.
Be sure to rate and review this podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform. We'll see you here next time. And be incredible. Incredible.